to introduce the man, the ally. I call him Theo Bernie. Maybe to my goddaughter, he's Willow. Maybe to some others, he's brother. But he's my Theo Bernie Sanders.
Let me begin by making an apology. We got a permit for 20,000 people and we had to close the doors. So to all of those who couldn't get in, thanks so much for being here, and thank all of you for being here today. When I look at this huge crowd, brothers and sisters, I have no doubt that the political revolution is going to sweep this country. Sweep Donald Trump out of office. And bring 1%. Let me begin by thanking our great musicians, Anik Khan and Max, for their great music. Thank you, guys. Let me thank my wife, Jane, whose father was a cab driver from Brooklyn, and who is going to make an outstanding First Lady for our country. And let me thank my 4 kids and 7 grandchildren. This is a family you will be proud of. Let me thank Michael Moore for his support for so many years. Michael's father worked on an assembly line at General Motors in Flint, Michigan. Michael knows what side he is on. Let me thank the mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, Carmen Yulín Cruz, who has stood up to Trump in her fight for justice for the people of Puerto Rico. And I want to thank Yulín for being one of the co-chairs of our campaign. And let me thank Senator Nina Turner, Nina grew up in a low-income family in Cleveland, and at the age of 14, started working part-time jobs in order to support her family. Nina knows which side she is on. And let me thank Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
AOC.
It is, that's right.
AOC. 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 AOC.
It is, I've been around politics a few years. And it is hard to believe the degree to which in less than 1 year, this woman, the youngest woman ever elected to Congress, it is hard to believe the degree to which she has transformed politics in America. Coming from a struggling family from Puerto Rico, she has been a fierce defender of the working class of our country. She has taken on the greed of Wall Street with legislation to put a cap on interest rates. She has been a leader in the fight against gentrification, for rent control, for affordable housing, and all within 1 year. She has electrified this country when she introduced the concept of the Green New Deal.
Green New Deal! 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 Green New Deal!
Alexandria has become an inspiration to millions of young people, not just here in New York, but across this country, who now understand the importance of political participation and standing up for justice. Andrea, thank you so much. And I am so delighted that Alexandria is part of our campaign, and I look forward to traveling with her all over this country. Let me also, on a personal note, take this opportunity to thank the many people across this nation who, in my time of illness, sent me and my family their prayers and well wishes and their love.
We love you, Uncle Bert!
It has meant the world to Jane and me, and I thank all of you so very much.
Thank you.
And along with the great medical care that I received, I am happy to report to you that I am more than ready more ready than ever to carry on with you the epic struggle that we face today. I am more than ready to assume the office of President of the United States. I am more than ready to take on the greed and corruption of the corporate elite and their apologists. I am more ready than ever to help create a government based on the principles of justice, economic justice, racial justice, social justice, and environmental justice. To put it bluntly, I am back.
Bernie's back! Bernie's back! Bernie's back! Bernie's back! Bernie's back! Bernie's back!
There is no question that I and my family have faced adversity over these last couple of weeks. But the untold story is that people everywhere in this country, in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, are facing their own adversities.
Amen.
Tonight in America, over 500,000 people will find themselves homeless. And right here in New York City, over 130,000 people, including 45,000 children, slept in homeless shelters last year alone. Today in America, half of our population, 50% of our people, the working class of this country, is living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay their rent, their mortgages, their light bill, or fix their car. Dealing with the incredible stress of struggling to just stay alive and feed their families. That is adversity. Today in America, 87 million of our people are uninsured or underinsured, unable to go to the doctor when they get sick, because the United States maintains the most dysfunctional and cruel healthcare system in the world. That is adversity. Today in America, in a country that once led the world in terms of the quality of our educational system, millions of working class families are desperately searching for affordable child care. Hundreds of thousands of bright young people are unable to fulfill their dreams because their families cannot afford the outrageous cost of higher education, and tens of millions struggle with the oppressive burden of student debt. Today in America, millions of senior citizens are unable to afford the prescription drugs they desperately need because our government has allowed the crooks in the pharmaceutical industry to engage in price fixing and political bribery.
Shame! Shame!
While at the same time, Trump and the Republicans are desirous of cutting Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security for our seniors. But in the midst, as all of you know, of all of this suffering, there is another reality which is taking place in this country. And that is that while the working families of America have seen virtually no increase in their inflation accounted for income over the last 45 years, the top 1% now have more income and wealth than they have ever had before in the history of this country.
Shame!
And brothers and sisters, Congress may not talk about it, the media may not talk about it, but not only will we talk about income and wealth inequality, we are going to do something about it. Today, damn right we're going to win. And we are going to win because the American people want fundamental changes in our national priorities. They are tired of the 1% getting richer while they are struggling to put food on the table. That's why we're going to win. Today, unbelievably, while we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth, 25 hedge fund managers make twice as much money as all of the kindergarten teachers in America. We are going to honor our teachers,
CTU! CTU!
not the hedge fund managers. And that is going to change under our administration. Today, the 3 wealthiest Americans own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. And the top 1% have seen their wealth increase by $21 trillion over the last 30 years. And today we say to Wall Street and the billionaire class, you ain't gonna get it all anymore. Today, justice, long overdue, is coming to the United States of America. But it's not just wealth, it's income. Today, while so many people in New York State and in Vermont, all across this country, are working 2 or 3 jobs to put food on the table, 49% of all new income goes to the top 1%.
Boom! Shame! Shame!
And when we talk about justice and immorality, please remember that unbelievably, the richest people in our country live 15 years longer than the poorest people.
Shame! Shame!
In other words, poverty is a death sentence. And we are going to end that death sentence. It is not a radical idea to say that all of our people, regardless of their income, have the right to live long and happy lives. And I must also say that in the midst of all of this massive wealth and income inequality, there is also a racial disparity within the overall disparity.
That's right.
Today, the average white family owns more than 10 times the wealth of the average black family. Black women are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy than white women.
Shame.
And the infant mortality rate in black communities is more than double what it is in white communities. Meanwhile, as a result of a broken and racist criminal justice system, black men are sentenced to 19% more jail time for committing the exact same crime as white men. And African Americans are jailed at more than 5 times the rate of whites.
Shame, shame.
Now, that is where we are today. That's where we are. A nation in which a few miles away from here, people on Wall Street make unbelievable amounts of money and live in incredible and ostentatious luxury, while right here, across the street from us, people are struggling day after day just to survive. But it is not just here in New York City. It is also in West Virginia and Kentucky and Alabama and Mississippi and other states where people continue to work for starvation wages and are worried to death about the future their children face. And that is why we say today that in America, anyone who works 40 hours a week will not live in poverty. We're going to raise that minimum wage to a living wage, at least $15 an hour. And we're going to make sure that every worker in America has the right to join a union. It is
Union, 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 union.
millions of workers in this country want to join unions, and today their employers in illegal ways are making that impossible, and that is why our labor law opens the door. And in our first 4 years, we're going to double the number of workers in this country who belong to unions. Brothers and sisters, it is clear to me, and what our campaign is all about, is that the enormous problems facing our country cannot be solved by the same old approach to politics. The time is now to tell the corporate elite of this country that enough is enough, and we will no longer accept their greed and their corruption and their attacks against the working families of America.
Right back.
Brothers and sisters, we need a new vision for America. And that is what this campaign is all about. And in terms of political struggle, in terms of how we bring about the transformative changes that we desperately need, I am reminded of a statement made by Nelson Mandela, one of the great leaders in modern history. And this is what Mandela said. He said, and I quote, "It always seems impossible until it is done." Do you all understand what that means?
Yes.
It always seems impossible until it is done. In other words, what the establishment, whether it is the economic establishment, whether it's the political establishment, or whether it's the media establishment, what they want us to believe is that real and fundamental change can never occur. They want us to believe that our vision for the future is unrealistic, that it is a pipe dream, that it is simply utopian thinking. They want us to believe that the only reality that we can live under is the status quo. That real change is impossible. And by the way, it's not just Republicans who give us that line. That is exactly what I heard on the stage of the Democratic debate in Ohio a few nights ago.
That's right.
So let me respectfully disagree.
I wrote the damn bill.
Let me respectfully disagree with those who believe that real change is not possible. And let me tell you exactly the kind of America we are going to fight for when we are in the White House.
Yeah, let's go.
For a start, unlike Donald Trump, we are not going to divide the American people up based on the color of our skin, our gender, where we were born, our sexual orientation, or our religion. In fact, we are going to do exactly the opposite. We're going to bring our people together. We're going to bring our people together, Black and white and Latino, Asian American and Native American. We're going to bring our people together, whether they are gay or straight, male or female, young or old. And together, we're going to fight every vestige of racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, and religious bigotry that exists. Our administration is the administration that will take America forward in ending all forms of discrimination. But we are also, as we bring our people together, going to push through an agenda that addresses the pain of the working families of this country. Because we believe that economic rights are human rights. We believe that education is a human right which enriches us all and enables us to get the good paying jobs we need in a competitive global economy. That is why we will implement policy that provides for universal, affordable child care. Every working family has the right to know that their kids are in high-quality child care and are getting the emotional and intellectual nourishment they need in order to grow. And we're going to rebuild public education in this country. That gives our teachers the respect and the compensation that they deserve.
Yeah! Chicago!
I want to thank teachers all over this country that have literally taken money out of their own pockets in order to buy the school supplies their kids need. We believe in education. We believe in our teachers. And under our administration, we're going to have the best public education system in the world. And because we believe in equality, we are going to make our public colleges and universities tuition free. We're going to adequately fund our HBCUs. And by the way, we're going to cancel all student debt. Yes, if the Congress
Bernie, 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 Bernie.
If Congress, 11 years ago, against my vote, could bail out the crooks on Wall Street and provide them with trillions of dollars of zero-interest loans, if Donald Trump and his Republican friends could give over $1 trillion in tax breaks for large profitable corporations and the 1%, if we can spend $750 billion a year on the military, you know what? We can cancel all student debt in America. With a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. Hey, Wall Street, can you hear us now? When we talk about workers' rights, it is my belief that every American who wants a job should be able to find a job through a federal jobs guarantee program, which pays workers good wages and provides union representation. There is an enormous amount of work to be done in our country, and we need skilled workers to do those jobs.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters, this is the United States of America. We can create up to 15 million good-paying jobs rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. Roads and bridges, airports, water systems. It is not a radical idea to say that in America, when you turn on the tap in your faucet, you have a right to drink clean water. we can create millions more jobs as we expand childcare, education, health care, and services for senior citizens.
There's a little carbon too.
Let me say a word about an issue that I've been working on for decades, and that is my belief, and I know it is your belief, that health care is a human right, not a privilege. Together we are going to end the international embarrassment of the United States of America being the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all of their people. Brothers and sisters, we will end the absurdity of America spending twice as much per capita on health care as the people of almost every major country on earth, while at the same time, 87 million people are underinsured or underinsured. 30,000 Americans die each year because they don't get to a doctor on time, and 500,000 go bankrupt because they cannot afford to pay their medical bills. We will take on the greed of the insurance companies and the drug companies and pass a Medicare for all single-payer program.
Yeah!
And now let me I'll give a special thanks to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for helping our country recognize that climate change is an existential threat to our planet, and that we must implement a program consistent with the goals of the Green New Deal.
Yeah! Green New Deal! Green New Deal! Green New Deal! Green New Deal!
Climate change proposal that I have introduced during this campaign is the most comprehensive climate change plan ever introduced by any candidate running for federal office. In other words, we are listening to the scientists. Our legislation will hold the fossil fuel industry accountable. It will create up to 20 million new jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. It will give us the tools that we need to help lead the world in combating climate change and save this planet for our children and future generations. Now, right across the street from where we are at this moment is New York City's largest fossil fuel power plant. And let us be clear, it is no secret that that plant is located right next to the city's largest public housing development. Together, we will pass a Green New Deal that will end the environmental racism we see right here in Queens. And in similar communities all across this country. Together, not only will we clean up our environment, but we will finally put an end to environmental racism. And in the richest country in the history of the world, Alexandria, you and I believe that every American should have a fundamental right to a safe, decent, and affordable home. It is absolutely unacceptable and un-American that veterans and families with young children are sleeping out on the streets of New York City and all across this country.
Shame.
It is unacceptable that 18 million families in America are paying over half of their limited incomes on housing, and it is unacceptable that wealthy real estate developers in New York and across this country are gentrifying neighborhoods. And it is absolutely unacceptable that the largest public housing development in North America, right across the street from us, lacks decent heat and hot water and is in urgent need of repair. The affordable housing program that we will implement will establish the funds necessary to build nearly 10 million new apartments and homes throughout this country. Our program will eliminate homelessness in America. It will end the gentrification taking place in cities like New York, Seattle, San Francisco, and all over America. And our legislation will create a national rent control standard. Landlords all across America will no longer be able to rip off their tenants and throw them out of their homes. And our proposal will provide $20 billion to New York City's Public Housing Authority to repair and modernize its public housing stock, to make all public housing accessible, and to provide access to high-speed broadband for all of its residents. Let me say a word about an issue that I know is on the minds of all of us, and that is that we are going to end, once and for all, the broken and racist criminal justice system that exists in America. We are going to end the international embarrassment of having more people in jail in America than any other country on earth. Instead of spending $80 billion a year on jails and incarceration, we are going to invest in our young people in jobs and education. Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. We're going to end private prisons and detention centers in America. We're going to end the horrifically destructive war on drugs and legalize marijuana. And we're going to end the disgrace of 400,000 people right now locked behind bars because they are too poor to afford cash bail. We're going to end cash bail. Seems to me a little bit absurd that we have people in jail right now for selling marijuana when we have crooks on Wall Street and in the drug companies who have killed people all over this country, not facing any criminal charges. How do you pay billions of dollars in fines for illegal behavior, and yet no criminal charges are made against the CEOs?
Shame! Shame! Shame!
What we believe in is equal justice under the law, whether you're rich or whether you're poor. And today we say to the American people that instead of demonizing the undocumented immigrants in this country, we're going to pass comprehensive immigration reform and provide a path toward citizenship for all the undocumented. On our first day in office, through executive order, we're going to provide legal status to the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program and extend that program to their parents. We're going to develop a humane border policy for those who seek asylum. We will not be a government which snatches babies from the arms of their mothers or throws children into cages. And we will put an end to the disastrous raids of the ICE agency.
Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE!
Today, on another issue that disgusts the American people who are sick and tired of seeing these mass shootings taking place all over the country, our administration will take on the NRA. We're not going to be intimidated. We will move aggressively to end the epidemic of gun violence in this country and pass the common sense gun safety legislation that the overwhelming majority of American people want. Under our administration, people who should not have guns will not have guns. And today, we say loudly and proudly that it is the women of this country who have the right to control their own bodies, not the politicians. My promise to you is that I will never nominate anyone to the U.S. Supreme Court who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade and a woman's right to control her own body. Now, you know, when I talk about the proposals that I think we should adopt to protect the working families of this country, I'm often criticized, and people say, Bernie, it's so expensive. How are you going to pay for these proposals? Well, let me tell you exactly how we're going to pay for these proposals. We're going to tell the wealthiest people in this country that they are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. We're going to rescind Trump's tax breaks for the billionaires and large corporations. We're going to end the insanity of providing hundreds of billions in tax breaks and subsidies to the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah!
And in my view, we do not have to spend more than the next 10 nations combined on defense spending.
End the wars! End the wars! End the wars! End the wars! End the wars!
Standing before you today, I believe more than I have ever believed that we are at a moment in our great country's history where all of us coming together can create the America that we are entitled to have, the America that we know that we can become. We can create a new America, true to the principles that are supposed to be the foundation of our democracy. And I want to ask all of you to do me a favor. Let's take a look around you. Let's take a look around you right here at this assembly of people. And if you look around you, what you will find that we have people here of every race, every gender identity. We have different religions. We have different ethnicities. We have men and women here. We have people who are young, and we have people who are old. We are a reflection of the diversity and the strength of the movement that we have built. And it is that movement, black and white and Latino, Asian American, Native American, all of us coming together. It is that movement that is going to transform this country.
We will win! We will win! We will win! We will win! We will win!
Now let me just tell you what you already know. And that our opponents, whether it is the Republican establishment, Democratic establishment, whether it is Wall Street, the insurance companies, drug companies, fossil fuel industry, military industrial complex, prison industrial complex, the whole damn 1%. They're not going to give up their wealth and their power without a fight.
That's right.
And the question that we have got to answer together is, are we prepared to stand up to them and transform this country? I want you all to take a look around and find someone you don't know. Maybe somebody who doesn't look kind of like you. Maybe somebody who might be of a different religion than you. Maybe they come from a different country. My question now to you is, are you willing to fight for that person who you don't even know as much as you're willing to fight for yourself? Are you willing to stand together and fight for those people who are struggling economically.
Yes, we will.
Are you willing to fight for young people drowning in student debt, even if you are not? Are you willing to fight to ensure that every American has health care as a human right, even if you have good health care? Are you willing to fight for frightened immigrant neighbors, even if you are native born? Are you willing to fight for a future for generations of people who have not yet even been born, but are entitled to live on a planet that is healthy and happy? Because if you are willing to do that, if you are willing to love, if you are willing to fight for a government of compassion and justice and decency, if you are willing to stand up to Trump's desire to divide us up, if you are prepared to stand up to the greed and corruption of the corporate elite, if you and millions of others are prepared to do that, there is no doubt in my mind that not only will we win this election, but together we will transform this country. Thank you all.